There we go. Welcome, one and all, to the second season of Take Stock Live. Starting next week, we'll be running Mining Mania every Wednesday, starting 15 minutes after market close. Welcome back. Next week up, we have MTH, ROCK, and WGC. At this point, we would like to take a moment to thank the TMX Group and the TSX Venture Exchange, our event partners, for helping us keep conversation between companies and investors going in these very unusual times. We'd also like to recognize the vital support of our sponsors, Fasken, MNP, Lee Jones Gable, Olympia Trust, and the CSE, who helped us start Take Stock, a series of investor forums back in 2014. We'd also like to thank our supporters. I'd like to thank Calgary Meg and CIM, the Manitoba Saskatchewan Prospectors and Developers, Sterling Capital, Conduit IR, CHF Capital, and many others. Particular thanks to Investmentpitch Media and the Newswire for helping get the message out. At this point, I'd like to turn the show over to my colleague, Mark Francis. Take it away, Mark.
Thank you, Raj, and welcome all of you, our attendees and guest presenters. Note our disclaimer. This presentation is for information only and is not a solicitation to buy or sell stock. Companies pay fees to present at Take Stock, and Take Stock and its principals, Raj Joshi and yours truly, Mark Francis, may have equity investments in companies we invite to present, may consult to the companies, and make no representation or investment or other recommendation in regards to these presenting or any other companies. You should do due diligence and seek professional investment advice. Some housekeeping matters for attendees. You will note a red Reconnect tab at the top of your screen. If you lose audio, just click it and you will be reconnected automatically. If for whatever reason we have to reboot the system entirely, stay put, you don't need to do anything, and the mics will be live. In addition, the chat board will be utilized in this session for the Q&A. Please be clear about to whom your question is being addressed, and use the chat board for serious investor and technical questions. Each company will have a presentation with their PowerPoint, followed by a panel discussion with Q&A, moderated by yours truly today. And as I've just come off 6 days of vacation, I haven't yet taken any cranky pills to get back geared up. So probably we'll go fairly easy on the companies today. We have 2 private companies, and we encourage you to connect with them directly in order to get detailed information. Their contact details can be found on our website, takestocklive.com. They're already posted on the chat board, and we'll have them at the end of the session as well. So today we have Rita Hansen, CEO of Onboard Dynamics, nominated by the Portland Seed Fund. Rita is an industrial engineer by training and has over 30 years of executive and technical management experience in a diverse range of industries. Since 2006, she has specialized in startup and early phase environments, emphasizing opportunities in the energy arena. Arthur Kwan is president and CEO of CannaIncome Fund, a private investment firm focused on the cannabis sector. Arthur brings over 20 years of investment banking, capital markets, and private equity experience. He was involved early in the cannabis sector as an investor, financier, and advisor, and currently sits on the boards of High Tide Ventures, Newbridge Global Ventures, and STEM Holdings, all cannabis companies. Let's start with Arthur Kwan. Arthur.
Thank you very much, Mark. And, oh, perfect. There we go. Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking part of your afternoon to join us here. My name is Arthur Kwan, as Mark said, and I'm the CEO and founder of CannaIncome Fund. Our legal counsel likes to get paid by the word, so you can read it at your own leisure. The disclaimer. So CannaIncome Fund is a private investment fund focused on the cannabis sector. So we invest across the entire value chain of the sector, including cultivation, extraction, processing, ancillary services, and retail dispensaries. Now, most of you on the line here have probably read about cannabis or have invested in cannabis or have partaked in cannabis, and you will know that the sector is very volatile and the equity markets are very inherently risky. Where we play is we like to structure investments as high on the capital structure as possible. So when we make an investment into a cannabis company, it's usually in the form of senior secured loans with warrants, secured convertible debenture units, or gross overriding royalties. And that's one of the ways that we mitigate risk for those wanting exposure to the cannabis sector. If anything happens to the company, we're usually the first guys to get paid back. We like to incorporate warrants into our structures just so we can maintain some of the equity upside of our investments. Now, myself, I'm based here in Calgary, Alberta. I have about 20 years of investment experience. I started in 1997 as an investment specialist with TD Asset Management, and then I moved into the investment banking world with Scotia. I stayed on as an investment banker until 2015, and that's when I moved into the cannabis sector. Michael Young, our Chief Operating Officer, has 17 years of capital markets experience. He was previously with CIBC, Casimir Capital, and a family office out of Vancouver called Second City Capital. Don Short, he's our portfolio manager, and he's also with Quest Investment Fund Management. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is corporate governance and transparency. So we've hired an outside investment fund manager and portfolio manager for additional compliance purposes. Terry Zamaro is our CFO, and he has 20 years of auditing and accounting experience. Here we have our board of advisors and directors, and they span all across Canada. And that's one way that we add value to the fund, is that we have guys stationed in 6 cities across Canada for market intelligence, deal flow, and additional due diligence purposes. So myself, as I mentioned, I'm based here in Calgary. Ross Grover is also based in Calgary. He's the CEO of High Tide. Jeremy Ross, he's a venture capitalist based in Vancouver. He's the president of Opus 3 Capital and sits on a number of venture or small capitalization companies on both the CSE and the TSX. Ronan Levy, he's a lawyer by background. He's based in Toronto, and he's the Chief Strategy Officer at Trait Biosciences. Cliff Stark, he alternates between Montreal and Toronto. Cliff was the 5th shareholder of Nuvera, which was acquired by Afria a couple years ago for about $425 million. He's now currently the CEO of Franchise Cannabis, another international cannabis company. And Ray Yu, he's a clinical pharmacist by background, but he's also the co-founder of a company called Candera Ventures, which sold earlier last year to Westleaf Cannabis, which is now known as Decibel Cannabis, and he's based in Edmonton. Now, we pride ourselves on our track record. We've been in operation since the beginning of 2018, so we've been running the fund for 2.5 years, and we've posted a positive return for every year we've been in operation, including last year, which was a very tough year. As you can see on the chart on the right-hand side, our fund returned 12% in 2019, when most other cannabis funds were in the negative territory. Our track record. So as I mentioned, I left the investment banking world back in 2015 and moved over to cannabis, first as an advisor, then as a financier, and then finally started CannaIncome Fund in January of 2018. And in 2017 was a banner year for cannabis. We started a partners fund, and we were up over 300% that year. We were early investors in Tinley Beverages, Emerald Health, and Afria. Currently in the CannaIncome Fund, we have 20 investments, including BN Brands and High Tide, where we were both seed investors. Here's some actual performance case studies that we have invested and exited. So Plus Products is a edibles company based in California. We like them because they have 2 out of the top 10 selling brands in California right now. We had invested in them before they went public, so when they were a private company, and when they went public, we exited our investment for 118% gain. The Green Organic Dutchman, we also posted a 90% gain employing a similar strategy. We had invested in them before they went public and then exited after they went public. One of our current holdings, Science Pharma, they're based in Whitby, Ontario. They're more on the medical and pharmaceutical side of cannabis. We're still holding the investment as a private company. We had invested in them at $2.75 a share, and they did another round of financing at $4 a share. So we posted a 45% gain in our fund for that. The thing with us is that we try to mitigate risk as much as possible for a very volatile sector. So recall earlier that we like structuring investments as senior secured loans with warrants or secured convertible debenture units or gross overriding royalties. That's one way that we mitigate risk. The other way that we mitigate risk is we also diversify the fund into the different subsectors, whether it's cultivation or extraction or retail dispensaries. There's our allocation breakdown. There's currently about 20 investments in the fund, spanning across all subsectors. And the third way that we mitigate risk is we also diversify geographically. And that's, we have investments that touch Canada, US, Jamaica, Germany, and the Netherlands. We are doing an offering by way of an offering memorandum right now. If anyone on the line would like a copy of the offering memorandum, please get in touch with me after the presentation. But we, the other thing with our fund is that we pay a 6% annual dividend every quarter.
Thank you, Arthur.
Yeah, with that, I'll pass it back to Mark, and then he can ask any questions you may have.
Very good. And we will see Arthur again after Rita's presentation during the Q&A. So let's bring on Rita Hansen.
Hi, Mark. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. There's no...
Yes, you're good to go.
Good. Thank you. Thanks to TAKESTOCK for giving me this opportunity to tell our story. My name is Rita Hansen, as Mark suggested and introduced earlier, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Onboard Dynamics. Today, our company is helping customers reduce emissions and save fueling costs, all at a scale that meets their previously underserved applications. I was first exposed to this technology about 7 years ago when it was being originally incubated at Oregon State University here in Oregon. Together with my 2 other co-founders, we spun it out and then secured funding from ARPA-E, the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Energy. And our objective at the time was to develop natural gas compression technology that would solve a critical lack of refueling infrastructure for natural gas vehicles in the US and Canada. Transportation is a critical part of growing the world's economy, but also has the fastest growing emissions. It currently accounts for 24% of CO2 emissions globally. And while electric vehicles have made inroads with light duty, electrification of medium and heavy duty vehicles is still not practical today due to cost, range, weight of batteries, and duty cycle. Compressed natural gas still makes a lot of sense, and especially with the advent of renewable natural gas, which can be carbon negative and is the cleanest alternative fuel choice on a well-to-wheels basis. But the challenge for driving adoption around NGVs has been the critical lack of refueling infrastructure, which is what ARPA-E funded us to solve, and you can really see that shown here on the right. So what do? In order to move and use natural gas, it needs to be either compressed or liquefied, CNG or LNG. Our technology puts the C in CNG, compressed natural gas, whether it is conventional geologic based or better yet from a renewable source. We have developed this unique, intelligent, and cost-effective compression solution, allowing a low-pressure natural gas source to be compressed up to 3,600 psi, all integrated within an engine platform. Our first product to market, shown here on the left, is the GoFlow CNG 80 compressor, and it was commercially launched in late 2018. Our newest product, shown on the right, launched last week, is called the Gofill Refueler. It's a standalone trailer that incorporates a dryer and a dispensing system for refueling up to 4 vehicles at the same time. And this is a product that was totally driven by customer demand. So when the Gofill is packaged with the GoFlow, this becomes a complete natural gas vehicle refueling station, all without electricity and mobile if required. Our key competitive advantage really focuses on not requiring electricity, being driven by natural gas, and offering this system in a small package footprint with the ability to be mobile if required. So this ability to perform compression the way we do brings us many opportunities where that is important and will open up even larger markets beyond natural gas refueling and utility operations where we are currently deployed today. I will speak about our future product roadmap and these other verticals with more details later. So I don't have time to talk about all of our customers, but the one I really want to focus on this slide is the one on the left, the independent waste hauler. Last summer, we commissioned this independent in Southern California within the South Coast Air Quality Management District. He is what we consider a lighthouse account for all the other waste haulers in the region because they are under a mandate to convert to an alternative fuel, and electric refuse trucks are still not an option due to their costs and their lack. He actually had the lack of available electrical service in his yard and the duty cycle that they're under. And since refueling with our GoFlow system in his own fleet yard, this customer saves $1,000 per truck per month in fuel costs alone. This is just a shot of some of our other deployments that we've had over the years. So we make money today largely through direct unit sales and project installations, but we are also recognizing recurring revenue and higher margin streams such as leasing, compression as a service, service and support contracts, and cloud-based data management offerings, which is all based on the back-end data collection capabilities we have built into our product. We have received significant U.S. and international interest across all the different verticals I've mentioned, but our initial go-to-market strategy has been focused in the U.S. on the increasing adoption of natural gas as a transportation fuel, but also supporting pipeline utility operations. Entering Canada is actually this fall in BC in partnership and a contract with NRCan, so we're super excited about that. We've generated over 1.6 million in revenue with 9 customers since our product launch. We've got a very healthy sales pipeline, even COVID dependent, and the funnel includes many opportunities with utilities, station developers, municipalities, and others. We're now refining and expanding our core GoFlow compressor in several key ways, and new products include the Gofill that I just mentioned, but also a pipeline evacuation unit tailored specifically to utilities, and we're also working to advance our platform to add cleaning and conditioning in the front end with the GoFlow compressor. We've been down selected as a semifinalist with ARPA-E, their scale-up opportunity to pursue that product, and this will enable the capture of natural gas from sources such as ag waste and also from stranded flare gas at wellhead sites. That proposed solution, which is a cleaning, conditioning, compressing package, will meet a very unfulfilled market demand that exists today. So with the COVID-19 situation, we are taking it week by week at the moment, have been adjusting accordingly, but we still believe our products are very relevant now and going forward as the world gets back on its feet. I like to tell people we're the seasoned veteran management team with business and technology expertise who have absolutely demonstrated the ability to successfully execute. And the reason I'm here is to let you all know that we've decided to reopen and expand our note that we had closed earlier under terms that we established then is $500,000. We've already brought in $180,000 committed and have another $100,000 soft circled. So in closing, I just want to say we have the team and the current technology to compress methane without external electrical power at an underserved scale. We would like you to engage with us for our next success, and we intend to address stranded natural gas and renewable natural gas. So with that, I want to thank you. Back to Mark. Good timing.
That's terrific, Rita. You were early. And let's bring Arthur back. And we'll start with the Q&A.
Hi, Mark.
So I'm actually,
Sure.
a question I didn't discuss with you beforehand are benefits. And Rita, I think there were a few additional benefits. Isn't there a labor cost saving to your clientele?
Yes, we have been able to, a lot of our customers on the fleet refueling side just really look at fuel costs, but we also have developed a full-blown analysis that we can sit down with them and say, well, listen, if you're going to a public refueling station, here's the labor cost savings you can incur, plus wear and tear on the vehicles for driving that distance to a public refueling station. So absolutely, we like to look at all of it. They just get really uber focused on fuel cost savings.
The benefits, in this case, in a way, you have two customers. You have your investees, you also have your investors. And even though I consult the Canadian Securities Exchange, quite frankly, I know very little about the cannabis space. I'd have a lot of, I would not be comfortable managing. So isn't there a tremendous benefit to investors and also to your investees, because you are a professional who understand the space and can bring additional knowledge to both sides? Is that a fair statement? Arthur?
I'm sorry.
Did you miss the question?
Yeah, I think you got cut off.
Sorry,
Yes.
Mark.
No worries.
apologize.
So I think that in your case, both your investee companies and your investors gain benefits from CannaIncome Fund. And from the investor side, even though I consult to CSE, I know very little about the cannabis space, quite frankly. But I'm also thinking about your investee companies. Given your expertise, you're able to bring additional value, aren't you, to your investee?
Mark, I think you left the room, but I'll answer the question. Yes, absolutely. Our investee companies definitely benefit because we typically invest in the companies when they're still private. So, and I come from an investment banking background. I spent 18 years as an investment banker. The chief operating officer, he was a former investment banker as well. He was also in institutional sales and equity research. And then our portfolio manager was a sell-side equity research analyst as well. So together, we can help guide these companies if they want to go public or if they want to merge with another company or do an RTO. So we definitely bring some benefits to our investee companies as well as our investors. The main benefit that we bring to the investors is instant diversification and mitigation of risk, as opposed to an investor going out on the stock market and investing in a single cannabis company. If they invest in us, they get instant diversification of 20 cannabis companies across the entire value chain of the cannabis sector. Plus our investments, as I mentioned during my presentation, are typically in the form of senior secured loans or secured convertible debentures or royalties. So inherently, they're a little bit safer than a straight equity type of investment.
Rita, why don't you go first and just give us a little update on the immediate impact and where you think between now and Christmas, what your plan is?
Yeah, no, so this has been very difficult as far as being on a fundraising capacity, and I can tell you that it's really one of those things where you get used really quick, you used to really quickly the ability to pitch in a video conferencing platform, being able to provide due diligence, also using video conferencing. Very difficult for people to get on airplanes, especially from Canada. Today you can't come visit us, so that's been a real challenge for us. But even across the country, just people, especially we're in hardware, so people want to come and see our facility, and or they want to go and visit customers. And even in a sales, from the sales traction, it's been really difficult because they want to see the system work. They want to see the system run, and you just can't. Our salesperson has now been grounded in Portland, Oregon for months because he can't really set up customer face-to-face visits. But it's the same thing with the investors. They want to see, they want to meet you, they want to meet the team, they want to see the technology, they want to make sure you're not in a garage. So it's really been a challenging environment. But we have great existing investors, and so we're really leveraging that, and through that network, we've gotten some new investors to come to the table for this note. But Series A, which is on our horizon, is definitely going to be challenging, and I know that.
Okay, thank you, Arthur.
I was just going to say, I would echo Rita's comments. It's very hard for us to go do site visits now for potential investments. So, for example, we're talking to an extraction company in Pennsylvania, and obviously we can't travel there to do a site visit. So what they did was they did a live video cam, and they showed us around the facility, the extraction equipment, and the actual extraction process. So I mean, that's that's one disadvantage of COVID-19. I guess on the plus side is we're investors in a chain of dispensaries called Canna, and cannabis sales have actually gone up. They're now COVID price. So I don't know if people are bored at home, or they're experiencing additional stress and anxiety, and they need something to relieve that stress. But High Tide posted, quite a significant increase in sales during the, when everyone was staying at home.
Well, welcome back, Mark. I don't know how much of it you caught or you didn't catch. We'll figure it out later. But I just asked both of our presenters, and Arthur was just finishing, telling us how the COVID situation's impacted him. The fund.
And on the due diligence, right?
Yeah, and Rita had given us a little bit. Actually, what I didn't get from that, and I'll just finish with my line of questioning here. Could you both just tell me what you think, like moving forward, just your best guess between here and end of the year? What you plan to do?
Rita, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, why don't you just continue, and then we'll hand it back to Rita, and then we'll get Mark.
For us, I think it depends on when the travel ban lifts, because to date, we haven't been able to conduct any investor tours or potential company tours, or our existing portfolio company tours, which we like to do on a regular basis, just to make sure everything's okay. And so, from now towards the end of the year, I think our world will revolve around, Zoom meetings, or, teleconferences and FaceTime video. If they lift the travel ban in September, then I think, we'll start traveling again for site visits, for due diligence, and also for investor presentations and conferences.
Right. Thank you. Rita?
Yeah, I could repeat everything that Arthur just said. It's really continuing along the same path. This ARPA-E scale-up opportunity that we were down selected as a semifinalist, we're going through that whole process in a virtual manner. So we're having to reach out for commercial partners, financial partners for the 20% cost share, and we have to have that all packaged up here this fall. I really would like to bring in the rest of the notes so that we can have a little bit of breathing room, and before we kick off Series A, and Series A, will be largely dependent on what happens with ARPA-E, but I'd like to wait until I could get back in front of people. I without a doubt, this is my personality, who I am as a person is really all about engaging at that face-to-face, person-to-person level. So, but we're being successful and bringing in money. So it's just getting better and better at this. It's just so funny how all these platforms. I was on the U.S. Department of Energy platform yesterday with 10 other technologies that have been selected for this ARPA-E, and it was just amazing to me how many technical issues there were, even amongst that group. So it's we can hear there's a little bit of background noise going on right now, and it's just crazy how we have to adjust to this and lower our expectations that this is going to work. I do have somebody who asked me a question about competitors, so I can answer that privately and let you know that we know who they are, but we're the only mobile natural gas compressor on the market today.
Well, Rita, we're talking about technology. So why don't we tell us more about the F-150? Is it the F-150 engine you use? Tell us more about how your technology works.
That's a really good question, Mark. It's not an F-150 engine. It used to be. That's a 6.2 liter. We have an 8 liter now. It's a basic GM block that it provides the engine capacity or the engine power on our compressor. We take off one of the heads on a standard V8 8-liter GM block, and we take off one of the heads to install our own proprietary head, which does the 4 stages of compression in that one. Then that one side, the other side is it's providing the power through the other 4 cylinders. So, but it is based on a standard GM block, and it comes from a company called Origin. Does that answer that question?
I think so, Mark.
It does.
Okay.
Sorry, my system is being very clunky, and I wanted to also talk to each of you about the future, looking out a year or two, and even further. The cannabis space is changing fairly radically, and also, we're trying to make changes worldwide, or the world is going through change. But the truth is that we simply will not be able to have electric vehicles everywhere. We will not have a robust transmission line system that can handle it. So talk a little bit about the marketplace for each of the two of you going out, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Sure. Rita, so let's start with you.
Okay, so as you saw in my presentation, as we see the interest in ESG and clean tech and really targeting those technologies that's going to focus on decarbonization and decarbonization goals. So we have always viewed ourselves as a bridge, as a transition to get from here to there. How do we start that? What does 2050 look like? What does 2100 look like? I mean, so there's really, really tools that we have in our toolbox today that we can be doing today, and that's where we see leveraging our technology, and especially around infrastructure, natural gas. How are we best using it is definitely a cleaner burning fuel, and with the advent of renewable natural gas, there's definitely ways to clean up our natural gas pipeline infrastructure in this country, in your country. So we've always believed that we've got a really, really strong future. Yes, it's COVID times, it's pandemic. Nobody ever, maybe Bill Gates did, but foresaw what was going to happen to us at the beginning of 2020. And it's just, we need to take a step back and realize that this is spurring economic crises, social unrest, and a public health crisis all wrapped up in one. Plus, let's throw in the Saudis and the Russians when they decide to have their little oil wars. So the perfect storm has absolutely descended upon this globe, but we believe very, very strongly that there's a path forward here. There's every day is just going to get a little bit better, and we just have to stay true to our vision. And our vision is the path to decarbonization over the next century. So.
Very good. Arthur, what?
Well, I'm going to put this out there. If I were a betting man, I would bet that the U.S. will legalize cannabis for adult use within the next 24 months. We've seen certain legislation in place that's either in front of the House of Representatives or in front of the Senate now that all point towards that direction. And it seems like every few months there's a new state that will decriminalize or legalize adult use or medical cannabis. So that's where. So the U.S. is actually a growth sector for us, and we're actively looking for more investments in some of the emerging states in the U.S. And internationally. As I mentioned during my presentation, we have investments that currently touch Germany, the Netherlands, Jamaica, the U.S. and Canada, and we're currently looking at a potential investment in Colombia and another investment in Israel. So sector-wise, I think the sector is just going to get bigger, as it's similar to prohibition with alcohol. The sector, especially for medical use cannabis. I mean, we're seeing large-scale investment by pharmaceutical companies now, looking at developing, treatments for different ailments using cannabinoid-based drugs. So that's where I see the future heading.
Very good. Well, we're going to call it a wrap. Thank you very much to our presenters, Rita Hansen, CEO of Onboard Dynamics, and Arthur Kwan, CEO of CannaIncome Fund, both companies that know where their future lies and are driving toward it. And to you, our attendees, thank you for your time today and throughout the upcoming season. Do go to today's companies' websites, learn more about them, connect with them directly, and check in at TakeStockLive.com. We'll be back August 12th and every Wednesday thereafter into October with Mining Mania. This is Mark and Raj signing out from TakeStockLive.com.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.